Thank you for coming out, everybody, and welcome extinguished guest, Atos. And so we got Vesper, Indigo, Cece. Welcome, everybody. Oh, and Dido. But so today's our General Assembly. You know, we usually have a weekly guild meeting, but once a quarter we have the General Assembly where we kind of go down and adjust our pricing for our goods that we sell. So we'll be doing this as kind of a rapid fire type thing. So I posted a link for, if you don't already have it, in our Tavern text in the Discord here for the official price guide. That's basically the order we'll go in. So everybody's kind of looking at that and kind of staying a step ahead, because when Zeke calls it out, you got to pretty much shout out if you want to make a change or adjustments to any of the prices. Otherwise, if no one says anything, we just keep moving forward. So we kind of move through this at a quicker pace. So with that said, we'll go ahead and get started. So Zeke, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate everybody coming out today. As Xavier said, thank you, guests of honor, for being here, distinguished guests, and visitors that are visiting us today during our General Assembly. This is what the BMC does. Every quarter, as Xavier is explaining, we meet as a guild. We debate pricing, and amongst our members, guests, please feel free to lobby any BMC member while we are doing this pricing. As Xavier said, you can look in the Tavern text of our Discord. You will find the link to our price guide. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar with it. You probably visit to get a bearing on what the BMC is pricing its material at. If you feel like that a price should be one way or the other, please feel free to privately message any BMC member in this channel to lobby that BMC member to motion for your price and what you feel like that price should be on our price guide. This is where the public has a direct effect upon the business that the BMC conducts. We welcome it, and any General Assembly that the BMC has, which is once a quarter, once every 3 months, usually the first part of the quarter. Today is the first Sunday of the second quarter of 2021. We go by calendar quarters. The public is welcome to attend these meetings or these General Assemblies, and this is where the public has a direct influence on the BMC, and we welcome it, so that your input is reflected in our guild operations, and our prices reflect what the public would like to see out there. But you have to be here, and you have to lobby a BMC member so it can be put to a vote here on our floor. With that being said, I want to welcome Atos, Chris Spears, to the BMC General Assembly. I don't believe he's ever been to a General Assembly before. He has been to one of our elections, but I think this is the first time that he has actually been here and witnessed what we do as a guild once a quarter. As I'm sure everybody pretty much, I think Twistar has been here before, but not in this guild house. So Chris, thank you for being here today. Some of the highlights that I want to touch on for our guest of honor and to bring the public, which I'm sure I don't have to, but as a matter of etiquette, Chris has been the lead tech designer, started out as the lead tech designer with Portalarium when the game was first built. Later on, Chris became the head honcho that took over operations pretty much. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but from what I understand, Chris is now the guy that pretty much oversees all of the aspects of Shroud of the Avatar, and we appreciate all of the hard work that you put into this game, Chris.
Thank you, and that's pretty close. I was actually the tech director, CTO before, but then also ended up doing a lot of the tech stuff. But yeah, a lot of the stuff you guys probably deal with directly, like economy stuff. There's a lot of stuff I had either complete design control over or was a big part of at least. But Happy to be here, and yes, I am in charge of everything, including the guy who writes paychecks for the team and does hiring and stuff like that. So happy to be doing all that stuff, and looking forward to making the game great for years to come.
Well, we look forward to being here for years to come. As a token of our appreciation, the Guild would like to present to you. Most usually nobody gets these unless you are in the Guild, because you can only get them here in this room. But the Guild would like to present to you something that you could put in your in-game home. As a decoration.
Nice, crafted by you.
It is our
Glad to hang
BMC
it up.
cloak, and we would be honored for you to have that to hang in your home. Now, the vice president of the Guild, Xavier, and I agreed that we're going to recognize these guests of honor, give them a moment to speak. We are at 2:16 p.m. NBT. I would say that, Xavier, about 15 minutes before we actually get the pricing started, and give Atos the podium to take any general questions from the Guild. And address those. Atos, podium is yours.
Awesome, and thank you for the cloak. I will gladly hang that up. I think I replied last time, but I don't think I had my talk button down, so only people on the stream heard me. All right, so where should I be getting questions from?
Anywhere. If they're hitting you up on your stream, or anybody here in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll gladly take stuff on my stream if anybody wants to ask on the stream chat. Looks like I've got about 50 people over there. And but I'll gladly take people for specific BMC stuff too. I hate to hog it with general game stuff.
Absolutely. I have a question for you right off the top.
Fire away.
I have wondered, and I've tried to rationalize it in my mind and come up with a logical reason why, but I'm sure that you could probably touch on it and explain it a little better, to where not only I, but everybody in the Guild and in the general public would understand. Since we have such an uptick on farming and the way things that are going with, like, the 25-year whiskey, and we're seeing a lot more implementations in farming. My question is, why? Why do we still sell, or why does Portalarium or Catnip, why do you still sell produce on NPC vendors? Why is this not left as a player mechanic, where the farmers are actually benefiting from having those plots of ground on town lots, village lots, and where they can actually cultivate potatoes, cultivate peppers, cultivate all the produce that we see being sold on NPC vendors? Why has those items not been taken off NPC vendors, and the players are allowed to actually fill in that gap and stimulate a true player-based economy in farming?
So good news. This was actually something that I thought that the last release, the release a week ago, was supposed to raise the prices, the NPC prices of those things. This is actually something we talked about, and we wanted to raise the price one release, and then the release after that, we're going to take them out. But I thought this last release, the prices were supposed to have been doubled. If not, then the next release is where they will be doubled. The main concern, I think, was people worried that new players to the game might not be able to find what they needed just because they weren't new enough. They didn't know enough of how the vendor stuff worked, and having them on NPCs, seemed like it would fix that problem. But the plan is now, I think there's enough people out there selling and also just the realization that, cooking whatever type crafting that requires those things is something that really comes a little later in the game, and it's okay to require them to get that stuff from players. So we may have them drop in limited number in the game, but the plan would be to first double the price on vendors, and then after that completely remove them from, or not player vendors, double the price on NPC vendors and then remove them completely.
Okay.
So that's coming.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any other questions here on the floor?
I see from the channel eHondas mentioned that vendor search would fix that. Yes, and that's actually one of the things we're looking at. I do have a new coder on the project who is super gung-ho and excited about being on the project. And he's actually looking at things. We're going to have a meeting on Monday. I'm not sure if he's watching this, but we're going to have a meeting on Monday to discuss some plans, because we're looking at a lot of UI stuff, including things like vendor search and some other things. We actually already have all the server support, and the client has all the knowledge it needs to do client-side vendor searching within a town. And so the only thing really limiting that right now is the UI work to do it. But we're going to discuss a big change to the project, which is having the new guy come on and learn a UI system that is 5 years old versus starting to do things in the newer UI system that Unity provides. My gut is we're going to go with the newer UI system just because it has much better performance. It doesn't suffer from a lot of the problems that our current UI system works on. For those who remember, sorry, I just got distracted by someone asking me to teleport to them versus them teleport to me. I almost sucked them in. Yeah, our UI performance is pretty horrendous. So it is actually the limiting factor in big combats and other stuff, which you can actually find yourself just by turning off all UI elements through F11 or F9. But anyways, the plan is to get some of the vendor search stuff in. But right now, the current holdup is, do we completely ditch the old system and do everything the new one, or do we try to fix up a few of the old ones? And I say that just because vendor search would be one that wouldn't be that much work to tack onto the old UI. But I think right now we're leaning towards ditch it, do everything on the new UI that's more maintainable.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, does that mean we could get some draggable health bars?
Yes, that is actually one of the early things I was going to have him try to work on, just because that's a pretty self-contained thing, and you don't have to worry about sorting, and you don't have to worry as much about import, but actually redoing the health bars, because that is actually the number one performance drop in combat, is the bars on the left. We're looking into some of the headaches. Again, some of this stuff will only be meaningful to people who've done a little bit of game development. But right now we've got all the icons in various atlases and basically sheets of pictures, all the little icons all spread out in it, so for performance reasons. But if we move it over, we're going to have basically keep two sets of atlases for everything, which is a little bit of headache and it'll be a little bit of a drag, but I think the performance benefits if we can just get rid of the UI on the left-hand side, the health bars, move that to a whole new system that's draggable, that is, you can put people where you want them, you can move them around, scale them, do all that type of stuff. I think that is one of the biggest wins we will have, even for new players coming in. I think they find that unbelievable that we still don't have that. And but yeah, I'm hoping that's going to be one of the very early things.
Is there any chance that we can get some API insight to vendor at all? Sales, whatever?
So there's actually a couple little steps to take along the way there. I was planning on adding Lua hooks so you guys could actually call into HTTP stuff, which is pretty much all you need to be able to query our public API and expose some of that stuff, or even make hooks to your own website. That's one of those that is not that dangerous in my opinion, and opens up a lot of possibilities for you guys. So I'm hoping to get that in there, and that will free you guys up to do whatever you want to. Again, I expect somebody will have a wrapper. It's probably only 20 lines of code to get a wrapper around that to query API or to query the public API.
Well, what I'm getting at though is that at least last time I looked, the API didn't have any kind of vendor data in it at all.
That part of it. Yeah, and that's one of those. There's a lot of these things where we've had talks in the past, and some people, whether legitimately or not, believe there's some risk that come up with that. Some people don't like that. I know, probably especially as the BMC, as guys here, you're very public on how you run things and the price setting and all that jazz that other people might want to keep secret. There's some people that want to keep that stuff secret, but I don't know that we can really justify that. I'll take some more public appeals or from people to see if they have more concerns on it. I know the last time we talked, though, there were too many people who were concerned about exposing vendor stuff, and just the fear, I think, is a little bit that it might, everything turns to, if you can get on search, see what people are selling stuff for, then now immediately everybody on the entire server is going to be held to the exact same price standards, because it'll be so public to everybody. So that is a fairly legitimate concern. I just don't know if it's something really that's worth protecting. That my belief is still, again, a lot of this stuff is, as long as we delay it by at least a day or something, as long as it's not an instantaneous thing, I don't know that it's that dangerous to expose that. But again, I know you guys have slightly different priorities than some of the other people and are very open and public about your stuff, which is awesome. But so the answer is maybe. We will reinvestigate it now, especially since we have a couple of players. Since the last time we talked about, we have a couple of players now who are on the dev team and can more privately argue for one thing or another. And I got a couple questions that came in over the chat. Let me go down here and look. One second, I'm opening up my questions. Zezel Reborn has the question, which is, when doing the UI, more of a request. When doing UI changes, can we please get a detailed character sheet that has critical information and detailed information about your character? This is one of those things that, again, I think how things happened and kind of got to where they are has been talked about a number of times, but there are kind of multiple forces on the project, and Richard was very big on concealing all player data. He didn't even want to show you things like, the simplest stuff like strength and health and, those little things. Believe it or not, that is actually true. He did not want to show your health or creature health. He wanted it to be completely concealed and only be shown by blood, which is, I think that's awesome, and that's for immersion. That's like super cool. But in terms of, I think, where most players are these days, they really want to be able to do some of the spreadsheet stuff. They really want to be able to understand what's going on, and when they hit and they don't do the damage they were expecting to do, they want to understand why so they can try and do better next time. So a little bit of that is the min-maxer side of things. But yes, so getting a more detailed character sheet is absolutely something that needs to happen. It'll probably be something more like, you have a character sheet that looks kind of like what we have right now, that's the simple version, but then there's another tab behind it that you can pull up and see more stats behind that. And some of those are stats that you guys have access to right now through Lua, so you guys have had ways to mine it for a while, but we need to expose those in a more conventional manner to you that does not require some third-party script or something. So yes, so that is that was
okay.
That was
On the subject of third-party scripts, there are a lot of helper scripts out there that help people with like the grind of mass producing whatever, let's call them widgets, mass producing widgets on the crafting menu, yada yada yada. What is your official stance on people that are not out gathering resources, but rather burning the resources up, and their POTs or in their homes using third-party aids to help them burn up those resources? What is your official stance on that, Chris?
So actually, the new guy on the team got to see some of me digging into some of these things. We just found there was a problem. I keep a bunch of charts open on, I run 4 monitors on my computer, and I keep charts open on a couple of the monitors that basically show things that deserve looking at. One of those is stuff like when people transfer large amounts of gold from character to character, which, just keep an eye on that type stuff. But another one is when players sell a large volume of items. And one of the things that came up in that was the Obsidian Potion of Restoration, I think it might be. But anyways, it's one specific potion that actually multiple people have been making them in mass quantities. So digging into why, of course, first I was like, okay, is this like an exploit? Is it like, can you make it for the same price you sell it for? And it turns out it was set to one level higher than it should have been in terms of difficulty, which means compared to everything else that was nearly identical, it was more experience per gold you spend on it, just because it was set to one level higher difficulty than it should have been, or the exact almost identical potions that were in the same category were. But I mentioned that because the other thing I found is when I started digging into the guys that were doing this, it was clear they were botting the making potions. That was actually, I almost put out an announcement here in the last 24 hours that I was going to start diving into that and enforcing not doing that. It's just, it gets to a really tough part when it's someone doing, if you do like 100 things while you're cruising the web or something, but these are guys that were doing 24-hour straight type things where it's completely obvious, the exact same pattern, the exact same everything. The policy has always been that it's not allowed, but we just haven't cracked down on it that much. I have cracked down on it before, but I think it's one of those things we're going to have to start looking into cracking down on again, just because it has been getting exploitive. Like I said, these are some people this is not the casual, I did 10 minutes because I needed to make break up a bunch of woods, or I got water for 10 minutes. These are people doing it in excessive ways. Now, it's funny you mentioned that, the thing earlier, you asked a question earlier about when are you going to make it so player goods become, players have to grow this stuff so that it creates a real player market and NPCs don't sell it. The things that were being made were things that they were able to go and buy almost 100% of the ingredients they needed from NPC players. The deciding factor for not telling people I'm going to crack down on it is because I want to get the NPCs to not sell stuff, so everything has to come from the economy. My belief is that economy that will, it'll create shortages, which will drive prices, and those prices will put those botters out of business, basically. Rather than it being they go into NPC person and buy 10,000 of them or whatever, they now have to buy 10,000 from you guys or from some other farmer, find their sources, and that'll create a shortage, and that'll actually break the botting. So we will see on that, but it's not something that's allowed, and it is something that I've been looking at, but there's always a little bigger fish to fry, a little more damaging fish to fry. But again, I'm going to watch it with this stuff, with the changes coming up where you won't be able to buy stuff off of NPC vendors that are ingredients for things.
Okay.
Hey, Atos, I've got a quick question while you're looking at your chat.
Go for it.
So all of the new shrines require a high-level rare item to craft it? And some of those items you can find recipes and take things from common to uncommon to rare. Is that true for every one of the shrines, every one of the high level items? Is there recipes to go from common to uncommon to rare for every single shrine?
If it's in there for one, it should be in there for all of them. The shrines were actually something that I did runes for them, but I did not do the actual items for them. Because I know I helped with the runes on them, I would be a little surprised if they do have common, uncommon, rare versions of them, because I only did one version of the runes, I think, so.
Oh, well, what I'm asking is that it's all rare on the shrines. But if we have a whole bunch of stuff squirreled away that's common, and we want to upgrade it, use 4, upgrade, and then use 4 more and upgrade again, that path to upgrade to rare. Are all those recipes in existence in the game to do that?
I doubt it. I doubt he put those in there. I doubt that there's combination. There were, just hearing that though, that's one that we've discussed a few times, making items. You have maybe an artifact or something that you've combined up to a higher level, and then you decide you want to take it down a notch, making it so you can salvage those things. Right now, of course, you salvage them and you get essences out of them. But making it so instead of getting essences, you get the next lower level thing. Which I mentioned because that would also solve that problem if it requires a common or an uncommon whatever. If you could salvage a rare and break it down into 4, or it wouldn't be into 4, it'd be into probably 3 or 2 uncommon items. That would also give you guys a way to get around that problem. But yeah, right now there's no wild card stuff that he's using or that's being used on that. I don't believe. So it would have to be, he'd have to have made a recipe for each one, and I seriously doubt he made a recipe for each one of those.
I know from what I've seen, everything that has a qualifier like that, common, uncommon, whatever, does have the recipes.
Hold on, I'm looking here to see if he made recipes for him.
One that Atos sacrifice is an example.
Let's see. Yeah, he's got them named something. I don't see where they are exactly, so that's one I don't know for sure. I'd be surprised if he made it so you can use anything but the common version of the item up. But you guys might know better than me because, again, that's one I've been trying to turn some of that stuff over to Elgarion, as much of it as I can, and he may have done that. He's a machine when it comes to repetitive stuff like that, so he may have actually made the multiple versions of it. But again, you guys might know better than me just because I have not used those at all. I tested one and one variation just to make sure he was hooking things up right, but I've not looked too deep into him. And I've got some more questions over here.
Okay.
Pop Lancermain was asking, Nicenia Pop, seeds would still be sold on NPC vendors. Probably. I think the thing we were talking about selling were kind of like the main stuff that players can get around.
Yeah, the produce.
Yeah, the produce type stuff. But one of those that is, there's a lot of those produce things get used everywhere, like garlic and stuff like that. Moving some of those things is one of those that would have to be discussed some more. But seeds on NPC vendors, unless they're very easily achievable, gettable through the harvesting, and I don't think that you get enough seeds doing the harvesting, they'd have to be sold on vendors. Snugsy1 says, can you tell us more about the staff of Snugs? You mean the twig of Snugs? No, we actually, there probably will be some item that comes up that will be something like what has been described there, but not happening in the immediate future here. But we do always try to throw bones to long-time constructive players in guilds and stuff like that, as again, Ring of the BMC people out there know. If you do stuff that helps the game, we try to give back as much as we can. And again, it's not that wasn't when we made that, or when I made that. That wasn't something that was, I've never turned down someone asking for something if it was someone who contributed a significant amount of the game. So that was something the BMC asked for, and absolutely jumped on it. But again, if another large guild out there, jumped in and requested something, and they're a guild that has done a lot to help the game, glad to do it. Or player. Now, I will not necessarily have your name in it, but it will be something that I'm glad to answer requests like that. Let's see. Blaze Garcink asks, thank you so much for fixing atonal area. Yay, it worked. Has really helped. How are you feeling about the Bard overall? Are things stable for now, or are there more changes coming we should be ready for? I think the Bard is, I'm going to look, of course I fixed a bunch of things this last release, changed how the behavior of some things to try and make it consistent so stuff follows around with the Bard, but also increase the duration of things, so if you leave for a second, your party isn't going to suddenly scream bloody murder at you for getting teleported or whatever. But I think it's getting closer. I'm still leaving it 100% unlearn. The instrument change that is still in the works is probably going to be one of the last big things for the near future. But I'm going to try to get that done for the next release. Until then, that skill that's in there, the passive skill, will just not necessarily do anything, but it's 100% learn, unlearn, so feel free to level it up and unlevel it. You won't lose any experience. But I think the Bard stuff's getting closer. It's taken longer than expected. Yeah, I think there's still a few things, and there's still some frustrations from players, which I think the biggest one is just casting times on those things. But again, I think it's not a big secret that the Bard stuff is extremely powerful in terms of its results, which again, it's got to have some cost to that. Having it so you can only do a couple of them, keep a couple of them live at a time, is kind of the cost for that. Is basically you're spending your character time to do it, and that's kind of by design that you would be, that it works that way. So if we could change things to be quicker, but again, there has to be some cost. And one thing that might happen is making it quicker to cast, but then again, when you must have an instrument out part comes on, that might be the balancing factor to it. So you can cast them fast, but without the instrument, they're going to be ineffective. The other thing that would need to happen if we make them faster is make it so you can't do everything at once. Otherwise, people will just have every single Bard spell up. If it only takes a second or two to cast and it lasts for 30 seconds, you can keep every Bard spell up and keep an instrument out. And that's really not how it's intended to work. It's really intended to be, 2 or 3 or 4 at most active at a time. All right, anybody else got some? Let me see if there's any new questions in here. Let's see, DWWP, why is your guild Portalarium instead of Catnip? That is a great question. I probably should rejoin a different guild. I actually try not to be on Atos too much, except for coming to events like this, and stay on alts for other stuff. So I actually hadn't noticed. This is actually, having the name Portalarium is actually an improvement over what the guild name was for a while. Because we were trying to test some things when guilds first came online, and we were trying to test the profanity filter for guild names. And Star actually made the guild that we were all in, and the guild name was This Is a Effing Guild, except not effing, something else. And that was our guild name for a long time. So changing it to Portalarium was actually a big upgrade. But yes, I agree. I need to get in a different guild. I need to get in a Catnip guild.
The BMC's recruiting. You're welcome anytime.
I try to not do that just because, again, Same reason that I try to make sure and be clear that anybody who wants, like if there's a guild out there that wants a ring or whatever, or wants their own special item.
It was a joke, Chris.
I know. But I do have a house and a couple of pots, and I still get an occasional mention of playing favorites for that type of stuff. But
Yeah.
try to not to play too many favorites there. Try to give everybody attention, which also reminds me that I should mention that this me being here today is not me being trying to be favorites. I was in a guild meeting last weekend. The reason I showed up was I was invited.
Yeah, it's not a favoritism thing. It's an actual, bring some information to the public type situation. Thank you so much, Atos, for talking to the public, talking to this guild. We appreciate you being here. Let's go ahead and move on now to the guts of the matter and get this General Assembly going and get these prices set. And thank you to all visitors that are here. Again, I want to remind you that you can go on to the website where the price guide is. And as we are going through this, please feel free to lobby any BMC member for any prices that you would like to see motioned on the floor. As Xavier said earlier, this is a rapid fire situation. We do use a parliamentary procedure. We have a motion and a seconding system. Today, members, I would ask you to, if you have motioned, don't second your own motion. If you have already seconded, don't second again. And we will discuss that in a later guild meeting. But if you have already seconded one price, do not second another. You guys let me know when you got the price guide pulled up, and the first order of business today in the guild meeting or in the General Assembly we will be addressing the comments. Hey, dear sir, I can't even pronounce his name, but he mentioned that a link is shut down. I think we discussed this at a prior General Assembly, that Marky Dragon's link was shut down, and he asked us to take up the slack where Marky Dragon's website was shut down for the general pricing. Floor is open. Guild members, thoughts?
I have some information on that too, because I talked to Marky and a few other people.
Okay,
that was shut down. They were looking at how to keep that open, and I actually offered to keep it open. But I think the bottom line was the way that site was created was not sustainable, and it was getting to the point that it was just costing a huge amount of money to run an instance on Amazon that was large enough. They were running a much larger instance for that than like we use for our own data servers. So that's the reason for it being shut down. And I expect something else to come up in the not too terribly distant future, or something to replace it. But yeah, just my inside info on that.
So it is down.
So it's down. It will probably be replaced by somebody else. I know there's a few people talking about doing something similar to fill in that gap. And I did actually offer to take it over, but after talking through some of the problems with it, it didn't seem like it was a good opportunity to take it over. It seemed like it was something that was not sustainable. So,
okay, so Jackalope, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sir, if you would explore that link over the next couple of weeks. Explore that link with Tina O'Neill. Who else? Cray Scavenger, if y'all would, the three of you kind of pair up, if you would, explore that link that is on our price guide that individual left. Find out what you can about that link, what products they're offering, whatnot, and see if we can incorporate that into the BMC price guide. At your leisure. Thank you, sir. Next item on the price guide in our general comments is something that I left. Phoenix head, strip of thick troll skin, dark unicorn blood, light unicorn blood. Have we reached a consensus on whether or not we're going to add those items? I'll take that as a no. Redfish still wants to see fish prices. Well, are we going to work on that today or not?
I'd like a little more time. I've tried to gather some, but it's really far and few between, so maybe next General Assembly?
I also took a look to try to find some of the fish stuff, and yeah, I only found one or two people selling them, and the prices look a little suspect to me.
Thanks,
Okay.
Robert Baratheon.
All right, then we will keep that on the general comments on the price guide, and we will revisit that in a guild meeting. We're not going to wait till the next General Assembly. We do need to address it before the next General Assembly and get that squared away so we've got something to offer out there for the public to see. Now, for those of you that are following us on our price guide, we will start at the very top. Like I said, this is rapid fire. It will be, we're going to make it as painless as possible. If you see a price that you would like to put input on, please feel free to lobby a member of the BMC to motion for a certain price to be put on our voting floor. All right, we're fixing to start it up, guys. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
Demon hooves, BMC has them priced at $1,500. Dragon neck bones are at $8,000.
If I could interject on neck bones,
Go ahead.
a couple of I saw one at 1,200, and I saw one at 9,000. So, or at least one person selling them at those prices.
Jackalope.
The weighted mean I came up with was 3,800.
Yeah, I would say that the price may have dropped a little bit from 8,000. The problem is there's just not a big market of them out there, right? So availability is fairly slim. So there's really not a lot to base the price on, as Eagle.
I only saw 2 years.
Turn down your background low mirror, or I'll have to squelch you.
I see them pretty regularly at 5, and sometimes I'll buy them at 7,000.
All right, floor's open to any motion.
I'm in a motion for 5,000.
Second, 5,000.
Any other motions on the floor?
I make a motion for 6.
We have a vote. Anybody seconding the 6?
Second.
All right, so we do have a vote on the floor for dragon neck bones. Inputting the data. Any other motions on the floor? Voting is live. Refresh your page and cast your vote. Xavier, if you would monitor it, I will be the tiebreaker. Motion to suspend voting.
Yes, on 7, it's, yep. Second it,
All right, what is our price?
5,000.
Dragon neck bones are now set from 8,000 to 5,000 on the BMC price guide. Elf essence, kobold essence, lich essence is all at 150. Lich skulls. I'm sorry.
If I could interject on the essence, so
Sure.
it's fairly, all three of those are fairly widely available. Prices do range between 100 and 150, although most of them are towards the 100 range out there. And just because of the availability and fairly light demand, I'm gonna motion for 100.
Seconded. Any other motions on the floor?
If I could bring up a little bit about them. For elf essence, I got a weighted mean of 250. Lich essence 213 and change. I'm sorry, Cabal essence was 213 and change. Lich essence I got 154 and change, and all of those I had multiple vendors carrying them. So yeah, there are a lot of them.
Okay, do you have a motion?
I think I would probably motion to split the difference on the means at 200 for all of them.
Anybody second that?
I switched to vote yet. I just found the page. I realized I wasn't logged in.
Does anybody second 200?
I'll second it.
We have a vote. Now, are we doing this all on all essence the same?
And that was my assumption, is that we wanted to continue to keep them the same in our price guide.
Agreed.
At 150? At 150?
Yeah.
Then the motion for 200 is retracted.
No, he's just talking about keep all of them the same price. We're voting on one price for all. So we got 100 and 200 on the floor.
Yeah, that was what I was saying.
Okay. Any other motions? Voting is live. Refresh your page and cast your vote.
Zeke, while we're waiting, just a reminder to the guild that if you feel the price should be kept the same, go ahead and motion to keep the price the same.
Looks like voting stopped. Motion to suspend.
Second.
What is our price?
100.
We'll have to catch that on the next go around, Jack. Lich skulls are at 500. Obsidian chips are at 20. Phoenix talons at 35,000. Rotting flesh at 25. Skeleton bones at 50. Troll essence is at 800. Troll head at 700. Troll hip bone at 500. And the troll rib cage is at 500. Moving on now to gathered items, starting with field dressing. Animal hides are at 12. Aortic thrombus at 50. Bear carcass at 50. Bear head at 25. Bear carcass at 30. Boar carcass. Boar head at 25. Bovine carcass at 20. Chicken carcass at 20. Scorpion claws are at 75. And scorpion glands come in at 50. While scorpion tails are at 30, crocodile carcasses at 30, deer carcasses at 40. A dragon haunch is selling today in the BMC for 800 gold pieces. Duck carcasses at 20, leather scrap is at 2. Obsidian bear carcasses are at 225, while the stag carcasses are at 250, and the wolf carcasses, obsidian wolf carcasses, come in at 200. A pig carcass, rabbit carcass, sheep carcass are all set at 20. Slime oozer is at 20. Spider eyes are at 30. Spider legs are at 30. Squirrel carcasses are at 20. A stag carcass is at 40. A stag head is at 50. Soot is at 125. Venom sacks are at 25. Wolf carcasses are at 50. A wolf head is at 25, and a wyvern carcass will fetch you 200 gold pieces in the BMC.
2,000.
2,000.
I'm sorry, 2,000.
Yeah, that one, I wish I had a price for it, but wyvern carcass drops have been increased fairly significantly since that price was set. So that price is outdated, but I just don't have a new price to give you.
The only one I saw on a vendor was at 2,000, so for what it's worth.
I motion that the price stays the same.
Second.
Any other motions on the floor?
Hey, Zeke, we do need to make I think I'm not sure of any other name changes, but the aortic thrombus is now what, entrails? Got to do that name
Yes.
change.
So what, aortic entrail? What is it called?
It's just entrails now.
Changed.
We'll go through and do the changes after this. I mean,
That'd be fine. Moving on now to fishing. A blood leech is at 500. Drudge leech is at 200. A hopper is at 50. A pale white leech is at 500. And a sardine from the ocean is 300 gold pieces. Moving on now to foraging. A beetle carapace is at 1800. Chaos plant pollen is at 100. Cloth scrap is at 2. We're selling garlic at 1.4 gold pieces per. Mandrake root and nightshade at 1.3, and raw cotton is at 4.5. Moving on now to forestry. Maple bark, maple wood. Maple bark is at 75. Maple wood is at 130. Pine bark.
Motion maple wood and I think we did maple wood and pine wood together, but 140.
I'd second that.
Not a lot of it on the market.
Okay. Any other motions?
What's the current price? I missed that.
130. And
I'm
maple
gonna
wood
vote
and
to
pine.
keep the same.
Motion for the same. Anybody second that? Nobody has seconded it. Your motion does not stand. Tina, sorry. Any other motions? The new price of maple wood and pine wood is now set at 140. Pine bark is at 75, while pine resin comes in at 225. Sooty bark is also at 225, and wood scrap is at 5. Moving on now to mining, the last category that we will be voting on today. Clay blocks are set at 100, copper ore at 25.
Motion copper ore 30. There's 2 people in the game that are selling under 30, and it's an opportunity buy.
Second.
Any other motions on the floor? No further motions on the floor. The price of copper ore in BMC is now set at 30. Gold ore is set at 80. Granite blocks are set at 15. Iron ore is set at 30.
Motion on iron ore 40. We're definitely the cheapest price in the game, and done some test marketing at 40, and there's no resistance to that price.
Anybody second that?
Second.
From what I've seen, I'm seeing a weighted median of 57 and a median of 53, so I'm going to motion for 50.
Does anybody second that?
I can't second it, but I can tell you there's room for
I'll second.
a raise.
Okay, so we do have a vote. Any other motions on the floor? Does anybody motion for it to stay the same? Very well. Voting is live. Refresh your page and cast your vote.
It looks like we reached our max vote number, so I'll motion to suspend.
Actually, we got one more.
Dang it. All right, somebody else jumped in. Now we got a tie.
Okay. I will cast a tie-breaking vote. New price for iron ore in the BMC is 50. Metal scrap is set at 6. Nickel is set at 225. Silver ore.
Motion for nickel and tin, 275. We're definitely the lowest price out there. I typically see it going from between 250 and all the way up to 500, but usually around 275, 3.
Most of the stuff I saw on vendors, I got a median of 466 and weighted median of 466, weighted average of 466, and a unweighted average of 420. So.
Is anybody second 275?
I'll second.
Second.
I'm gonna motion 300.
Is anybody second 300?
Second.
We have a vote on nickel and tin, or should we split those?
I would go for both.
I'm fine with both.
Okay.
Second.
Voting is live. Please refresh your page and cast your vote.
It's a runaway.
Yeah, run away.
What is our new price, Xavier?
300.
Nickel and tin are now 300 in the BMC. Silver ore is priced at 90. Tungsten is at
Motion
100.
silver 100. Again, 90 is the cheapest in the game. It's hard to find in the game right now. And I've tested 100. There's zero resistance at it.
Second.
Any other motions on the floor? Going once, going twice. Silver ore is now 100 gold pieces per unit. Moving on now to tungsten, it's set at 100. Tin, we just did 10, my bad. All uncut gems are set at 275. And gem fragments are set at 3. Thank you, members. That concludes today's General Assembly. Thank you for your input. Thank you for your votes. Thank you for your participation. I will now turn this meeting back over to the Vice President to take any final questions, comments, and just general conversation. Xavier, podium is yours.
Thank you, Deep. That went well. Thank you, guys. I think we had a pretty good time today as far as time frame. Looks like we're about right. Got started a little late, so right at an hour. But, as always, we don't want to open it to the floor up. Anybody has any questions, comments about anything in general?
I had one question for Atos if he's still answering some.
Yes, I am.
When you make the new changes for the UI, will you be looking at the player vendors and the ability to edit prices rather than remove and re-add them?
Good.
Yeah, that's one that it's been on my radar for a while. I've talked about on streams that I really want to come up with a way to just give you guys control so you can basically edit things in a spreadsheet almost, and send them back, back and forth. But yeah, I mean, any of those things that it feels like really rough edges. I know that's one especially for people who do a lot of vendor stuff, the whole remove and add, and just going through and changing your prices in a bunch of places is painful. So yeah, absolutely. As we get closer and we figure out exactly what we're going to do for the UI, and when I say closer, that's not like months and months away. That's like we're having a meeting this week to talk about what our UI plan is on how to move forward, and I'm pretty sure I know what it's going to be. But yeah, we'll definitely take some feedback and start taking feedback on streams and trying to make sure, get feedback from you guys on individual UI parts and make sure we're hitting all the wish list stuff whenever we do things. So I only want to redo it one time, so we'll try to get it right the first time.
Awesome, because after one of these meetings, it's quite a big headache when you got a whole bunch of vendors.
Understand.
Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Question, comment?
Yeah, quick question, guild question. So with the changes, the upcoming changes in farm goods, are we waiting until the next General Assembly to address them, or will we have an interim vote?
More than likely, exactly, we will, depending on how quick they program it into the game and it fleshes out and everything, and they're satisfied with what they've done, it could be either or. We could call a interim General Assembly to address that, and if it's close enough to the next General Assembly, we'll probably forestall it until the next General Assembly and then address it at that time.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, because I guess, we probably need to vote next time or just throw some in the shout box there on the price guide page for any of the items that didn't have a use before that are now being used in the cooking updates and stuff, or the food updates. So definitely have some changes coming. All right, anybody else? All right, guys. So looks like Chris is about to give away a prize.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
We'll definitely thank everybody for coming out and kind of seeing what goes on here. We do this, like Zeke said, once a quarter. Just kind of keep our prices. I know I saw some question along the way where our vendors located. Of course, we're in our town of Black Rock Cove, and we do have a lot of BMC vendors throughout the world. I guess, I don't know, are those listed on the website still, Zeke?
I tell you what, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought it up in this meeting, that we're basically being aired out to the public during this meeting. We do have a spot on the website for vendor locations to be listed. I have been so busy with taking care of admin stuff in the treasury and getting those payments out to guild members and to investors and board members. Tina, I'm going to have to ask if you would be interested at all of being granted admin privileges on that page on the website to possibly put some thumbnails in there and kind of give some people some direction as to where all of our vendors are at. I know the last time we did this compilation, you're the one that pretty much compiled all the locations of all the vendors. Wondering if you might want to.
I'd be willing to do that. I know my current data is out of date, and so it's going to take me some time to be able to do it because I'm also pretty slammed with my day job right now.
Okay.
For the next 3 weeks.
All right. Well, this is not something that I'm requesting for you to do out of the kindness of your heart. The BMC will pay you in cash from the BMC PayPal fund for your services.
Yep, so the link is there. I see what you're saying. It is just blank. There's nothing there. But typically we would have the different BMC vendors that we sell these guild prices on. We will have those listed. So for other people, if you're looking, hey, I want to buy stuff at y'all's price, can't find it anywhere else, then you should be able to go to our webpage and click on it, find it, and go do it. But Black Rock Cove would be the main place along the docks. There's a lot of vendors that sell a lot of different stuff. So.
Yes.
Hey, Atos here. I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
Well, first I want to ask the question, and then I'm going to announce the winner of the drawing that I did during the stream. But my question for you guys is, we're about to, or we just made the change to remove a lot of things from NPC merchants that will obviously dramatically impact the price in game and, basically create shortages for a lot of things. How do you guys go about repricing during between quarters?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How do you go about repricing stuff if something like that happens between quarters?
what we do, Atos, is we try to do our General Assemblies at the beginning of each calendar quarter. January, March, when's the third quarter start, guys? What is that, August? No, that's the end. We have 4 General Assemblies a year, without looking and trying to calculate it all in my head right off. To answer your question, if there is a shift, what would you call it, Jackalope? A noticeable shift in game mechanics, the guild calls an interim General Assembly. Basically, it's a guild meeting between the quarters that we designate, and we say, hey, we got, this is an unexpected change. We need to call what we basically call an emergency General Assembly, where we come together as a guild. Again, the public is welcome to put their thought into it. The guild members are the ones that can actually speak and vote here in the General Assembly Discord channel, but anybody in the public can come into this channel and listen in, and at the same time put their input in by either messaging a guild member in the game or messaging them here in Discord. But to answer your question, just the down and dirty, we call a interim or an emergency General Assembly to address those fluctuations.
Awesome. Good to know. And if I can have 5 seconds, I want to announce the winner.
Absolutely. Take all the time you need.
All right. Yeah, and you guys probably will want to do that as soon as we get out. I just put in the question to Rick for what happened to the price increase, because we intended to double the prices of player growable items this release and then remove them the next release. So I'll see what happened with that. But here goes the winner doing the drawing now. This is for an Ornate Village Moon Dial. Pretty nice prize for an afternoon stream. And the winner is, I can't see it, Vesper Soda. Couldn't be a more deserving guy out there. Yay! Maxine's here to clap for Vesper. I will deliver that to you shortly, Vesper.
Dad, guess what? I counted my frogs upstairs again, and I counted 8.
Good deal. Thank you, Chris.
I know.
Yep, and thank you for streaming the General Assembly here today, and thank you guys for coming out. And I guess with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, guys.
Congrats, Beth.
By the way, I'm making a foxicorn.
A foxicorn.
A sculpture of a foxicorn.
All right, guys. Hold on. Let me say goodbye to these people first.
Okay, but a foxicorn is a unicorn mixed with fox.
Well, first off, unicorn.
Somebody want to go do any hunting?
Oh, sorry,
I'm going to turn that down there. Guys, again, thank you for joining me for this afternoon stream. Again, I do these guild meetings occasionally when people want me to sit in on them. I think I've got a standing date now with at least one guild that I do it once a quarter with them, so happy to attend if you guys want to get me into your guild meeting. I don't have to stream it. The BMC was kind enough to let me stream theirs, but I am open to coming to talk to you guys about things. And again, this isn't just for me streaming and getting bits or anything. This is really me having a chance to interact with you guys in a more private fashion than the public stream. So, and again, different groups have different needs and requests and desires, and obviously the BMC, as you just saw today, is insanely organized and thought out in how they do things, and trying to be very very well done and handled, and just very impressive overall. Oh, looks like everybody's teleporting out. But anyways, I'm glad to come talk to your guild to see what your concerns are, and just let me know. Contact me in game. You can also send me a message in the forums. I'm pretty good about that now. I think I've got the kinks worked out of it. I get a lot of extra spam, not actual spam, but I get messages from the servers for a lot of stuff that happens. Anytime a change happens to a town, I get a message on it. But I think I've just about got all the filters set up for that again now. So. But again, guys, thanks for having me on the stream, and huge thanks to Soda Robert Baratheon for 1,000 bits, and Krazuka for 100 bits, and Anonymous Cheerer, and also Dash. Yeah, go give the game a try. This is not what the game is, obviously. Obviously, the game is all about role playing, going out and adventuring, kind of more of a standard MMO. But we do have a lot more organized groups and big guilds, and you can build your own areas. You can control your own areas. This is something that obviously they spent a lot of time setting up. They actually, every chair in here was probably crafted by somebody. And let's see if Gothic, that's not a crafted chair, but there's a bunch of chairs in here that are crafted chairs, so they're crafted by people and one at a time placed in here with the rugs under and all the organization stuff. So, but again, go give the game a try. And thanks for joining me today on the stream. I'm going to go get some grocery shopping done. Guys, talk to you later. I will see you also on my Friday stream. Friday at 4 p.m. I'm going to try to have at least one other person join me on that one. But I think that's it. Have a great weekend, guys. Be safe. Bye. Oh, wait, I'm going to raid somebody, too. Let me do that. Oh, and also, I think people, speaking of being safe, before I click the end button while I look for a stream, speaking of being safe, I actually got the vaccine. I actually have a couple of conditions, as people at the start of last year, I think, saw. I have some lung issues and chronic bronchitis, and also an immune disorder, and had advised that I should probably get a vaccine. Not super high risk as some people, but I did get on the list and immediately got a vaccine, so woo-hoo. Also, everybody else who is at risk or should go do the same thing. The final thing that was pushing me is someone telling me, basically pointing out that, that's nice that you want to wait and all, but you're more likely to take up a hospital bed, so if you get sick, so go get vaccinated. So I went and got vaccinated, so go me. So if you're worried about that, that's one less thing for you to worry about. I know you weren't worried about that. But anyways, let's see. We got Serpentwine, we got Strider Green, we got Coswald, we got Skeggy, and we got Blaze Garsink. Blaze Garsink is always on my streams. I'm going to go give him a raid. A Man and His Nightmare. We'll be giving Blaze Garsink a raid just because I don't think I've ever raided him before, and he's always on my stream. So give him a little payback here. Alright guys, let's go raid. And I'm going to go get some work done. Oh, and also no side effects from the vaccine shot, in case you're wondering. I got the Johnson & Johnson shot, the single shot one, which is better than a lot of people are thinking. It's actually really good long term. But anyways, just takes longer to kick in. But here we go. You guys ready? Time to raid. Stay safe. See you on Friday.